As I said before, I drove around for a while and then decided to just go home. Both Mum and Dad's cars weren't in the driveway, so I figured they'd gone to work. Mum is a teacher's aide and Dad is a foreman for a local construction company. Anyway, I put on a pot of coffee, watched a little MTV, then decided to go rock out in my room. I went upstairs and put Metallica's Master of Puppets cassette in the boombox, which I don't know how it ended up in my collection, as that was the tape I was going to buy when I met that old man in the bathroom. But it was there now, so I pressed play, and the intro to Battery began. Once the music hit, I started headbanging and thrashing around as it engulfed me. It came to the part where Kirk Hammett's amazing guitar solo began, and I began playing air guitar, when I stopped suddenly. "Uh-oh," I said anxiously, realizing I hadn't learned the songs for band practice. I stopped the tape and reached into my top desk drawer and pulled out the list, and the first one was You Got Another Thing Coming by Judas Priest. I plugged in the amp, plugged in the guitar, hooked on the strap and stood in the center of the room in my best rock star stance. I was about to tell my hands to play that song when it hit me. It wasn't me playing the guitar, it was my hands. I myself couldn't play at all. How am I going to be in a band even if they're all dead and I can't play the guitar? I said to myself. Then I said aloud, I want to know how to play the guitar. I want to know how to read sheet music. I want to be a rock star. Just then an incredible gust of wind came out of nowhere, through my room and blew me backwards into the closet, the door handle slamming into the crook of my back. I screamed out in pain as I fell to my knees, my right hand pressing hard against the crook of my back. Then I stood up slowly, still holding the guitar, my back throbbing in pain. "What the hell was that?" I said, and stretched a little bit. As the pain subsided, I reached into my desk drawer and pulled out the Metallica tablature book again. I opened it to Fight Fire with Fire and turned the guitar accordingly. I'd never even known how to tune a guitar before. Then I took a deep breath, and following along with the book, I played the entire song perfectly, note for note. I couldn't even put two notes together before, and now I'm playing with the technical skills of Kirk Hammett. "Oh my God," I said when I'd finished. "I did it. I did it. Not my hands. Me. I did it." I quickly turned a couple of pages until I found Trapped Under Ice, and I played that one perfectly too. Escape. Perfectly. Creeping Death. Almost perfectly. I didn't actually finish that one, as halfway through my fingers on my left hand started to hurt, and I felt a burning sensation on my fingertips. I looked at my hand and my fingers were covered in blood. There was blood on the fretboard, on the strings, and it was dripping onto the floor. Suddenly that verse from that Bryan Adams song came to mind. You know, I played it till my fingers bled. But anyway, this might sound sick and twisted to you, but I actually smiled as I bled all over the place. I unstrapped the bloody guitar and put it in the corner, then stood there staring at my bleeding fingertips, pretty much hypnotized by them. My trance was broken, though, by the sound of car doors slamming shut, and I knew it wasn't my mum or dad, as it was too early for either one of them to be home. So I looked out of my bedroom window to see a dark brown sedan in the driveway and two men in suits getting out of it. I quickly ran to the bathroom, got a towel from the shelf and wrapped it around my hand. Then I darted down the stairs and opened the front door, just as the doorbell rang. The two men were standing there, one older than the other. The older man reminded me of the guy who played the Lieutenant Castillo character on that TV show Miami Vice, and the other man resembled Judge Reinhold's character in the movie Beverly Hills Cop. I used to watch a lot of TV and movies back then. Anyway, the older man said in the form of a question, "Michael?" "Yeah, that's me," I replied. He looked me up and down, and I asked, "Who are you?" "I'm Detective Moron," the older man said. "This is my partner, Detective Reynolds," and he pointed to the younger man behind him and to his right. What did you do to your hand? Moron said. I'm learning to play the guitar. My fingertips aren't calloused up yet, so they bled a little, I told him. Oh, he said dismissively. Then he looked at his notepad. We'd like to talk to you about an incident that occurred at Forest Lake High School earlier this morning. May we come in? Oh, I'm sorry, it's not my house and my parents aren't home, so I can't give you permission to come in. Besides, I don't know what you're talking about, officer. Moron's face then turned serious as he sternly said, Look, son, we can do this here or we can do it down at the station. Which do you want? A light bulb went off in my head then, metaphorically speaking. Want, I thought to myself. I want you and your partner to go away and never bother me again, I said to the officer. And at that moment they both dropped their hands to their sides, shoulders back and heads forward, almost like they were standing to attention. Then they both said in unison, As you desire, with a far-off look in their eyes. They then turned around, walked back to their vehicle, got in and drove off down the road, and I never saw either one of them ever again. The newspaper article in the next day's newspaper said that Tommy had died of a heart attack, brought on by obesity, and it left it at that. So did I. It also said that someone desecrated the graves of 4 dead teenagers that had died in the freak accident a few days ago. You know, my bandmates. It continued to say that their headstones were broken and kicked over, and that their bodies were dug up and removed from their caskets, which were also broken. There are some sick people in this world, I thought. Now I know what you're thinking. How can someone die one day and be buried in the ground the next? It's too soon. No time for a funeral. Well, our town's morgue facilities were not very big, and unless an autopsy needs to be performed, town officials like to have the dead bodies buried within 24 hours of them dying. Most people who died in our town didn't have a funeral but a memorial service. My uncle used to be the mortician here in town, so that's how I know. But anyway, I shut the front door, grabbed some baking soda out of the kitchen, walked upstairs to the bathroom and grabbed an old towel so I could clean up the blood. Baking soda helps clean up bloodstains, in case you didn't know. I walked into my room expecting to see blood all over the floor and the guitar, but there was nothing. It was like the floor and the guitar had absorbed the blood into themselves. I unwrapped the towel on my hand and it was the same thing. No blood on my fingers or the towel, and my fingertips were now calloused over pretty well. How is that even possible? I thought to myself. But then I figured that whatever had happened, it had saved me from having to clean it all up, so I was cool with it. I then decided to see if I could play the guitar without the tablature books. You know, like freestyle. So I picked up the guitar, thought about what I wanted to play, and just played it. I actually knew what I was doing now. I decided then at that point to try and record some of the riffs that I was playing. So I grabbed an old Maxwell 90-minute blank cassette tape that I usually used to record songs off of the radio, as that's how kids used to have to do it back then. We didn't have Google Play, Spotify or Apple Music. You actually had to wait for a song to be played on the radio, then record it onto a cassette tape using a boombox or a radio cassette combo. I got most of my music from the Top 40 Countdown with Dick Clark on Saturday mornings. Kids nowadays have it so easy. But anyway, I put the tape in the boombox and pressed record and play at the same time, then spent the next 25 minutes just playing random riffs. Some were good and some weren't, but I figured I'd bring the tape to band practice on Saturday anyway. Oh crap, band practice. I completely forgot. I gotta learn those songs, I said to myself. I put the guitar down, grabbed my keys, my wallet, and the song list, then headed out to my car. There was no way I was going back to the mall after what happened, so I decided to stop by B&B Music. They sold every and all kinds of musical instruments, as well as sheet music and tablature books, so I could pick up what I needed there. I pulled into the parking lot, and mine was the only car there, which was very surprising. I got out and walked into the store and made a right at the second aisle past the Pearl drum kit display, to the back of the store where they kept the guitars, sheet music and tablature books. but they didn't have any of the books I needed. And as a matter of fact, I didn't find any books at all. "Oh, crap," I said out loud. Then from behind me I heard a deep, raspy voice say, "Can I help you find anything, son?" I turned around to see an older gentleman, maybe about 50-ish, kind of heavy set, with salt and pepper hair, and wearing black dress pants and a yellow polo shirt with B&B music embroidered on it. He was also wearing a cowboy hat. Yeah," I said. "I'm looking for tablature books for a few heavy metal albums." "Son, I still listen to Waylon Jennings. I don't know nothing about that heavy metal stuff. My son knows all about it, though. Let me get him for you." "Richard," he hollered. "Richard, are you back there?" "Yeah, Pop, what's up?" I heard a voice from the back room say. "Don't you what's up me, boy," the older man said. "I ain't one of your head-bopping buddies. Now get out here and help this customer." "It's head-banging, Pop," the voice said again. "I'll be right there." "He'll be right with you, son," he said to me. "Thanks," I replied, and walked over to check out the guitars. Seconds later I heard a voice behind me say, "Dude, what are you doing here?" And as I turned around, my eyes widened and my jaw dropped. I was face to face with none other than Ricky Blaze. "Ricky? Ricky Blaze?" I asked in complete shock. "Yeah, man, it's me," he said, with a big smile on his face. "Never mind what I'm doing here. What the hell are you doing here?" I asked in complete disbelief. "My pop owns this place. Ain't it cool?" he said as he waved his arms as if presenting the place to me. I stood there staring at him, shaking my head, completely flabbergasted. "Ricky," I said cautiously, "you're dead." "Well, technically I am," he replied. Hey, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed my video. And if you did, could you please give me virtual hugs by subscribing and clicking that notifications button. I also have a Patreon page and YouTube channel membership if you'd like to support me further. Thank you again for being here. Keep being creepy.